Yes, good evening to everybody. Welcome to the family law class. That is the Muslim law, and I'm dealing with the marriage under the Muslim law. That is the nikah in the Muslim law. In yesterday class, a part of it that I dealt in this class, I would like to deal the rest of the things. Then I have to start with the. I have to start with this. Yes, this no, this has come in the different. Yeah, so I have to start with the types of the marriages under the Muslim law. So now you can read what I put on the screen. Anyone? Unmute and read.
Marriage under Muslim law, family law.
Yes, that means you could see it what I wrote on it. Okay, now let us see the kinds of the marriages. I will stop my video, then I will start my class. Yeah. So now the kinds of the marriage within parentheses nikah under Muslim law. So let us see the table of content introduction, then essential of the nikah, that is within parentheses Muslim marriage, marriage not having a legal disability, and types of the Muslim marriage, nikah. Can anyone give me the distinction between the types and kinds? Anyone? Sir, both are equivalent because sometimes we can type, sometimes we can say kind. Anyone? Can you make the distinction between the type and kind? If you know it, you tell me. If you don't know it, say pass on.
Pass on, sir.
Say a little difference, but synonymously that you use the type and kind. What type of your car that you are having? Then we have to say that, see, I did not see because it's a dark what type it is. But the version, diesel version or petrol version. So our car is a diesel version. There we can say type of it. Then when you say the kind, almost all give the same sense, but in a broader outlook. Because generally, I don't want to marry that girl because she is not my kind. Here, not my type, we don't say my kind. Means my character, my thinking, my taste. A little difference would be there in type and kind, but sometimes now we use it synonymously, in a synonym way. So types of the Muslim marriages, in some places you find kinds of the Muslim marriage, nikah. So generally number one, valid marriage, virgule, sahih nikah. Number two, irregular marriage, virgule, fasid nikah. Three, void marriage, virgule, batil nikah. And four, can you read what is the fourth?
Muta marriage.
It is a mutta marriage. The fourth one is a mutta marriage. And mutta marriage, when you go to see it, no, it is only in the Shiala mutta marriage is there. Can anyone give the idea what is mutta? Mutta marriage?
Temporary marriage.
Repeat.
Temporary marriage. Temporary.
We don't say the temporary marriage, but time-bound marriage.
Okay.
It is a time-bound marriage. 3 months, 3 years, time. There is a specification is their time. When the time is not marriage, then automatically mutta marriage will become a permanent marriage. Means sahi marriage. So time-bound marriage is said to be the mutta marriage. We can say like that. So it is only in the Shia there, but in the Sunni law there is no time-bound marriages are there. Do you know what is the necessity of the time-bound marriage? Anyone? If you know it, you tell me. If you don't know, you say pass on. Yes? Anyone?
Period of time is to be fixed.
Repeat.
Period of time is to be fixed while contracting these marriages.
Why is the necessity to make the mutta marriage? That's my point.
Job oriented. Something.
Okay, you are very near to
Soldiers.
the point. You are very
Soldiers.
near to the. See, these Arabs, they used to do the business because Huzur also said, means Prophet Muhammad says, business is sunnah. So they used to travel from their area to sell the goods and purchase the goods from the other countries, other places. They used to stay even once, 2 months, 3 months also. So at that instance, no, they would like to not to have a prostitution. They would like to make the muta marriages. Then you may ask, sir, what about the women? Those who are staying in the house? Generally, the women are having a lot of patience, and that's why they don't indulge in such an activity. So these men, because of the various other nature, they used to conduct the time-bound marriages over there. But one thing they do it very much. If the sons or daughters would be there, then they will bring back and to their own family. And if not, they will give some type of the mahar and say, be happy with that one. So that is the made that muta marriage, but only because of the at that time. Now, can you do the muta marriage now? Even one wife is more than two. Not wife two. One wife is equivalent to four. Okay, come to the next point. In Islam, marriage is seen as a civil contract. We already read, because Justice Mahmood also said in one of the case law, Abdul Qadir case law, Salma case law, it is clearly mentioned it is a civil contract. And the purpose of legitimizing the intimacy and procreation of the children, unlike the religion, the Muhammadan law does not see the marriage as a sacrament. Of course, there is a controversy would be there. Later on, they said it is both the civil as well as the divine act. Because I told you, no, if you marry it, it is a half ibadat, worship. So, a contract that is centered by the two individuals by signing a document called Nikah Nama. Nikah Nama means, the Nikah means marriage, Nama means a document, Nikah Nama means a marriage document. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Very good, I appreciate. The Nikah Nama is a written document that two Muslim partners entering into the civil union must put their signature on it in order to legalize the marriage under the Muslim Family Law Ordinance 1961. Of course, it is no more now. It is the legal evidence of the said union and lays out the rights and obligations agreed upon by the bride and bridegroom. It also includes the amount of the mahar. What is mahar? Yes?
Dower. Which is given to bride.
When I say what is mahar, you are not supposed to say, sir, in the English is dower. No. Okay, what is dower if I ask, sir, it is nothing but mahar. You have to say the definition or at least explanation. A mahar is a token of respect given to the
Bride
by
bridegroom.
bridegroom. If the bridegroom is a pauper, he doesn't have the money, he's a miser, and he doesn't earn it, okay, on behalf of him, his father or somebody else give it to the bride. Of course, it passes to the bridegroom. So the mahar is a legal right of the bride and the obligation of the groom, as we said. In any case, mahar will not be waived unless until the bride herself, without undue influence, relinquish it or waive it. So it can be a sum of money or property given to the bride by the groom. So it can be paid to be at the time of the nikah or after it. Or it may be a prompt dower, or it may be a yes?
Deferred dower.
Dower. Yes. Being a civil contract, the nikah is not a permanent. What is the permanent? You will say, what is permanent here? In your life is not a permanent. So the couple is not obliged to maintain the relationship unto the oath, but it can be broken at any point of time. If you want to break it, it can be broken at any point of time, because both people understanding would be there, life will be there, become smooth. In Islam, polygamy, that is having more than one wife, but only up to the 4 wives is allowed. So earlier Prophet Muhammad, there are many wives would be there, but later on the Prophet Muhammad, they say restricted to 4. But polyandry, that is a woman having more than one husband, is strictly prohibited. So there is no polyandry would be there where a woman having the several husbands. So essential of the nikah, we already told, it is an offer, acceptance, ijab, khubul, and the mahar in the type of the consideration, and the legal age should be there, both are the sound mind, and whatever the conditions for the contract, the same conditions will be applicable for the marriage of under Muslim law also. There must be 2 witnesses should be there. How many witnesses should be there in the Sunni law?
2 witnesses, 1 male, 2 female. One male, one female, or one male, two females.
Yes, sir. What about the 4 females? What about the 4 females? No. At least be
No
male
females.
and 2 females.
4 females are treated as one witness. Only one witness.
Even though there would not be 4 females. The maximum allowed is 2 females. But the 2 males will be agreed. But not 4 females. But 1 male and 2 female will be agreed. Are you following me? Say yes. Okay. The person entering into the matrimonial relation must be of the sound mind and competent enough to understand the nature of the marriage and also the obligation arising out of it. Naturally, they say the mental capacity would be there, sane mind would be there, age should be there. So all the conditions would be fulfilled over there. So marriage not having the legal disability. Of course, I already told you that what is the prohibited degree, consanguinity, affinity, first range in my last class. Then I also made the polyandry and the difference of religion. What will happen if the difference of religion there, and who are said to be the Kitabiyas. And yesterday I have the 7 books. That the mythology, 7 holy books would be there, and marriage during the Iddat period, why, how it can be wide or wideable. So these are all the things that we discussed in my earlier classes. So it is a recap. So in the particular class now, the types of the Muslim marriage, that is the nikah. So there are various kinds of nikah. There's number 1, I told you the valid nikah, very good sahih marriage, and irregular marriage, that is the fasid marriage, and void marriage, that is the batil marriage, and 4 is the muta marriage. Let me understand and read and explain what is what. Valid marriage, virgul sahih nikah. Yes, anyone can unmute and read the first one. Tick. I said anyone.
Valid marriage, virgule Shahi Nikah. The Shahi Nikah is the one where all the essentials of the marriage a duty fulfilled. If the couple has signed the Nikah by the proposal and acceptance, and the groom has paid meher to the bride, it is deemed to be valid Nikah. There are certain legal and social implications and obligations arising out of valid marriage. Some of them are listed herein.
So, Sahih Nikah is one where all the essentials of the marriage duly filled. Means whatever the condition would be there for the marriage, that is the contract, that all the conditions should be fulfilled over there. If the couple has signed the Nikah, I told you that what is Nikah? It is a document would be written in form is the Nikah. But the proposal and acceptance and groom paid the meher to be bride or deferred meher or prompt meher, it is deemed to be valid Nikah. There are certain legal and social implications and obligations of the valid marriage. Some of them are there. Suppose if it is a valid marriage, then these are the implications. That means the legal effects. Number 1, the spouses can legally consummate, yes, because marriage is a valid marriage. So there is legally the BBC, body-to-body contact, their marriage, and the children arising out of the relationship are deemed the legitimate children. Yes, now you tell me, if the children born to the legal marriage are legitimate children, what is the opposite for the legitimate children?
Illegitimate.
Professor Hussain students will not say illegitimate children. Professor Hussain student says extramarital children. Repeat.
Extramarital children.
Extra, E-X-T-R-A, extra, hyphen, marital, M-A-R-I-T-A-L, children, means hyphen, means space, children, C-H-I-I-L-D-R-E-N. Illegitimate, if an ordinary person will say. If you say in a polished language, you can say the extramarital children. Okay, number 2, due to the Sahih Nikah, means valid Nikah, the couple acquires the right over the inheritance. Yes, succession inheritance will be applicable over them, over the property that can be inherited. Yes, they can inherit it because the marriage is a valid marriage. And the third condition is, after a valid marriage, the wife has the right to alimony. What is alimony? Yes?
Maintenance. Maintenance, sir.
It's the maintenance amount, even a kharcha pandan, or meva khori, or maintenance, and maintenance for herself as well her children. Also, the right to receive the maintenance is independent of the right to receive the dower. Everything will be, she will get it. So, right, she will get it once the marriage is a valid marriage. The last point is, in case of the wife turns a widow post a valid marriage, she is obliged to observe the period of iddat for a period of 90 days under the Muslim law. In the case the wife turns a widow post a valid marriage, post means later, after consummation, then how many days iddat period? 90 days under the Muslim law. So that is the period. Repercussions once the marriage is valid marriage. And what is the legal effect of the valid marriage? Number 2, irregular marriage, virgul fasid marriage, as the nikah. So when a contract is lacking one of the essential of the nikah, so whatever the essential of the nikah, any one of the essential is lacking over there, then it becomes an irregular marriage. And irregular marriage you can find only in the Sunni law. But there is no irregular marriage in the Shia law. Because irregular marriage is said to be the void marriage under Shia law. Is it? Did you get my point? Say yes.
Yes, sir.
Good. The concept of the irregular marriage exists only in the case of Sunni Muslims. I already told you. The concept of the irregular marriage exists only in the case of Sunni Muslims, while in the case of the Shia, the marriage is deemed to be void. There is no irregular marriage. Either valid marriage or void marriage. Either Sahih marriage or Batil marriage. Irregular marriage are the one which is called the voidable. It's the option, voidable, it will be the option of the party. That means if the essential that the marriage lacks is removed, if the deficiency is removed, or lax is removed, or recovered, then the marriage can be called valid marriage. In our study class, I told you that. You cannot marry the wife's sister when the wife is alive. That's a legal conjunction, you can say. But the marriage is said to be the irregular marriage, but not a valid marriage. But once your wife is died, at that instance, then irregular marriage become a regular marriage. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can you read the, for instance, this what I am highlighting here? Can anyone can unmute and read?
For instance, if a Muslim man marries a woman who is an idol worshipper, but then converts her to Islam, then the marriage is termed to be valid. The case of Atta Muhammad versus Saikul Bibi, it was seen that Fasid Nikah would be turned into Sahih Nikah. The social and legal implications and obligations are decided on the very fact whether the marriage was consummated or not. The implications are as follows.
Okay, now I read it. Now I read it. See, in the example, what he said, if a Muslim man marries a woman who is an idol worshipper means a statue would be there, they will worship it. But then converts her to Islam, then the marriage is termed to be valid. In the beginning, idol worshipper, but later he turned to be the Islam, then automatically it is a Sahih marriage. But a idol worshipper, later on, if he did not turn into the Islam, then it is a irregular marriage or fasid marriage. But in the case of the Atta Muhammad brothers, Saikhul Bibi, it was observed, it was seen that fasid nikah means irregular marriage could be turned into the Sahih nikah when the idol worshipper turned into the Islam. So the social and the legal implications and obligations are decided on the very fact whether the marriage was consummated or not. Then the social implication will be there, whether the marriage is consummated or not. Okay, marriage is consummated or not only for the iddat period, for observing the iddat period plus maintenance up to the iddat period. So that was the thing. But what are the other implications are there? Number one, unless the marriage is consummated, suppose the marriage is consummated means BBC is there, the wife is not entitled meher in case husband divorces her. If not consummated, then Husband need not to give the dower to the wife. Number 2, the wife is not mandated to observe the period of iddat because the marriage is not consummated. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? There is no consummation. There is no BBC. When there is no BBC, then there is no question of giving the meher. So in the case of children are born out of the fasid marriage, children are born out of the fasid marriage means BBC was there, consummation is there. Then they are termed to be the legitimate. No fault of the children. Why the children should be called an extramarital children when the marriage is a fasid marriage? Of course, fasid marriage can also turn into the regular marriage, sahihi marriage, valid marriage, if that deficiency is removed. Is it clear? Did you get
Yes,
the
sir.
point?
Yes, sir.
So, consummation plays an important role to get the meher or not to get the meher. Unless the marriage is consummated means, if it is not consummated, the wife is not entitled to meher in case the husband divorces her. No. If the husband divorces her, she is not entitled because there is no consummation, there is no BBC, there is no honeymoon. The wife is not mandated to observe the period of iddat. Wife need not to observe the iddat period when there is no consummation. The third point is, in the case the children are born out of the fasid marriage, then they are termed to be legitimate children. The third point is, void marriages, vargul, batil nikah. So, when a contract is not enforceable by law, it is called the void agreement. Similarly, nikah being a civil contract, when the essentials are not met, are not removable or recoverable, then it is called the void ab initio or batil marriage. What are the requirement would be there for the marriage? Anyone? What are the requirement for the marriage? Why you are keeping quiet? If you don't know, you say pass on. I will give you the answer. Yes?
Contract.
Whatever the elements of the contract are there, that should also be there in the marriage. Of course, regarding the age is concerned, okay, still it is time to take and 24 years, 21 years, but up to that, up to today extent, till it will be implemented, we can stick up to the 18 and 21 only. Because later on that I have given 24, 21, it will be effective when it comes in the gazette. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
See, when the act is made, it will not come into the effect immediately. No. The rules and regulations should be framed over there. Then only it will be implemented or come to the effective. For instance, you take the Consumer Protection Act, which is made in the 2019, but the total provision is implemented in the 22nd July 2020. It came into force at the time. Of course, you will read it when you go in the further classes. The General Clause Act of 1869. Yes, I'm sure. You will read the General Clause of Act of 1869. In other words, we can say it is a interpretation clause. There we will come across when an act is made, when it will become effective, even though the President assent is given over there. You will read there, don't worry. When you are reading that chapter now, you will know the subject or paper, you will come across now when it will be implemented. Okay, now let us see that the following enlisted situations ascertain the marriage is void. When you say marriage is void means any one of the conditions of the contract is not fulfilled over there. Preferably must condition, essential conditions. Then automatically the marriage becomes void. Number 1, when the nikah takes place between the person who are either legally or mentally, physically incapable, legally incapable, mentally incapable, physically incapable, at the time the nikah is void. Number 2, when a woman marries another man during the subsistence of the first marriage, the second marriage is deemed to be the state of void or batil marriage. Any one of these spouse living, but any one of these spouse go for the second, then the second marriage is batil marriage or void marriage. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Very good. I appreciate. So third point is, when a man takes a woman to his fifth marriage, when you tax a woman means when he marries a woman or keeps a woman to his fifth marriage, then the marriage is deemed to be void. But generally, fifth marriage void, but we can say irregular also, because he will divorce one, then the given point of time it is 4. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it can be done. So when a man marries the woman during the period of iddat, when she is a pregnant, of course they will say that one should not marry a pregnant woman unless the pregnancy of is the root cause of he himself. Of course, nobody would marry also. When a man marries a woman during the period of iddat, even iddat period also nobody would marry. So, because in the marriage day itself, the consummation, BBC should be there as per the Islam. So that was the reason that they will make it out. But mostly the people will know that when the conditions are not fulfilled over there, the marriage would be void marriages. The result of such marriage usually such enlisted widows. What will happen if the void marriage is there? The marriage is deemed to the void ab initio in the beginning if it is consummated. Even if it is consummated also, it become ab initio void. Number 2, since the marriage is deemed to void, right to maintenance is lost. There is no question of right to maintenance. There is no question of inheritance. Are you following me? There is no question of giving the alimony because the marriage is void. Number 3, the children born out of such a wedlock are given the status of the illegitimate. I told you, extramarital children, as it is seen that the marriage never existed. When such a marriage is not existed over there, then the children are said to be the extramarital children. And the last point is, when the spouses decide to part their ways, no legal decree is required to dissolve the marriage. Because when there is a marriage, there should be a need of the divorce. When there is no marriage, there is no question of divorce. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
When you lock it, you can unlock it. When you don't lock it, then where is the question of unlocking? Now let us see what is muta marriage. I told you that muta marriage was seen as a temporary form of marriage, but it is a time-bound marriage. Temporary form means it is a time-bound marriage, and this was recognized only by the Shia law and not by the Sunni law. I already told in the beginning also. The Sunnis, they don't follow this muta marriage. Only Shia law people will follow it. Muta marriage was basically a marriage performed for a contract period. See, contracted period means time. By payment of dower. They will pay the amount of dower. It was usually performed by the sheikhs who were on a tour due to business of oil refining on deserts. When they are going for the business of oil refining and deserts, they used to stay for months together there. So it is not allowed to engage in any kind of sexual activity with any woman other than other than his wife. So sheikhs, they said, let us perform the muta marriage instead of making a prostitution. The sheikhs used to engage in those temporary union called the muta marriage. So that was the necessity would be there where the muta marriages are conducted. So now finally, the marriage has been to have very high regard in Islamic law. It does not recognize the person who observes celibacy. What is celibacy? Anyone? I asked the question, what is celibacy? Celibacy. If you know it, you tell me. If you don't know it, say pass on.
Awesome.
Brahmachari. Staying alone without marriage. So that is the thing. A marriage also has a high degree of respect in society. As to form a grow these families into social institutions and finally into a state. Do you know that if our parents will not marry, we will not be in the existence now. Am I right?
Right.
Am I right? So the son and father both sitting together and having the alcohol. What they are consuming? A liquor, a whiskey, brandy, or whatever it may be there, intoxicating liquor. Then the father says to the son, son, marriage is very bad. One should not marry. Who is saying these words to whom?
Father to son.
Father saying these words to son. Marriage is a worst. You should not marry. The life become miserable. Then do you know what the son gave the reply? Anyone? Anyone? You say,
Yes.
Patsan, I will give the answer.
Sir.
The son says, yes, dad. You are right, dad. I also same thing. I also say the same thing to my son. Repeat.
I will also say the same thing to my son.
That means
Then how can, without marrying, how can he have a son?
that means he will marry. He will marry. He doesn't observe celibacy. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir.
That is the implied meaning. That means, yes, dad, I will also say the same thing to my son, means that fellow could go for the marriage. That is the meaning of it. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is the meaning. I want to test your IQ. That's why I put this question. So these are the things which you come across in the kinds of marriages. And here also I made a little example how the irregular marriage would be there, what would be the legal effect of the irregular marriage, and what is the temporary marriage, what is the muta marriage, and legal effect of the muta marriage, then how it can be solved over there. Is there any method? Let us see the legal effect of the temporary marriage, because what is the effect would be there, legal effect. The cohabitation between the parties become a lawful, and consequently even the children are legitimate children. Yes. And the children will be taken by the father, or they will give the money, sufficient money to the wife. They say, okay, keep your children with you. There will be no mutual rights of inheritance, no question of inheritance between the husband and wife, because the marriage is a temporary marriage or time-bound marriage. The husband has to pay the whole dower amount if he leaves without finishing the duration of the marriage. Suppose there is a contract between the 3 months, but after 1 month, the husband wants to go back because his business is over. That means he has to give up to the total 3 months dower amount. No, I used to stay with only 1 month with you, then I don't give the 2 months. No, they don't say. When you say time bound 3 months, either you stay with her or don't stay with her. You pay the 3 months total amount of the dower. If the wife were to leave before the expiry of the specific time, suppose wife wants to go away before the expiry of the specific time, the husband can deduct a proportionate amount from her dower. So the husband can having a, whatever the amount would be there, proportionate, he can deduct it. But while he was husband leaving it, he should not give the proportionate, he has to give the total amount. So maintenance is not available to the wife as a right, definitely, no inheritance. And there is no divorce in the muta marriage because that it is a time bound. And it ends on the prescribed time or departure of one of the parties, either at the end of the particular time or departure of the one of the parties, means leaving the one of the parties. Then iddat has to be observed for the 2 months if the marriage has been consummated. If it is 2 months, it is enough. Whether she is pregnant or not, we can determine it. Else, it is not needed. Sometimes it is not needed also, because they know it. If the menstruation cycle is going on very well, then there is no question of pregnancy. If the marriage dissolved due to death, the 4 months, 10 days, I already told you. If the marriage dissolves due to death of the husband, then the iddat period would be Iddat period would be
4 months, 10 days.
4 months, 10 days is the iddat period. Again, marriage agreements are allowed under the Muslim law. Even subsequent to the marriage, a couple can enter into the agreement for the regulation of their relationship. If the guardian has made an agreement with the parties are not competent to do so, of course, now there is no question of child marriages. There is no question of the marriage of a woman or a girl without attaining the age of 18 years or just merely attaining the puberty. Any agreement working against Islam is void. And for example, a marriage between the agreement wherein the wife is not allowed to claim her dower, the couple can stay separately without any reasonable cause would be illegal. So a marriage agreement wherein the wife is not allowed to claim her dower, or the couple can stay separately without any reasonable cause would be illegal. So it will be illegal if they could separately stay over there unless until there is no cause of action is there. A specific reason should be there, then they can make it out. If the wife is not staying with the husband or the husband is not staying with the wife, what is the right available to the spouse? Anyone? They could go to the court. Under what pretext? And what right? Anyone?
Restitution of conjugal rights.
Restitution of the conjugal right. That is a very good. So one can file a case in the restitution of the conjugal right in the court by any spouse. My point is. So marriage agreement are binding on the parties so long as they are legal, because they're time bound with the marriages. And for example, an agreement wherein the husband cannot contract either another marriage during the subsistence of the first is a valid agreement. Can we go for the mutai marriage 2 or 3 or 4 at a time? Yes. Can a person will go
No.
mutai marriage 1, 2, 3, 4 at a time?
No.
Here the clearly says no. For example, an agreement wherein the husband cannot contract another marriage during the subsistence of the first is a valid agreement. Does it mean they allow it? Example, an agreement wherein a husband cannot contract another marriage during the subsistence of the first is a valid agreement. Yes, because when mutai marriage is in existence, then why he could go for the another mutai marriage? If you go for the mutai marriage, another means it is nothing but a prostitution. Similarly, an agreement stating that the husband shall not stop the wife from receiving her relatives, it is out at any time, so also valid. An agreement that the husband shall not stop the wife from the receiving her relatives, it is out at any time is also valid. But generally, it becomes a domestic violence. You cannot restrict the wife. Your relative should not supposed to come to my house. Can you say so? Yeah. Of course, he says shall not stop from the receiving her relatives at his house, and time is also valid. Yes, he cannot stop it. If you stop it, it becomes a domestic violence. The breach of a marriage agreement, of course, is the muta marriage. It is. So, breach of a marriage agreement, if the agreement was valid, one gives rise to the right of the refusal for the restitution, dower related to the rights and extreme scenario of dissolution of marriage. There is no question of the. Of course, when the mutai marriage is in alive, yes, one can ask for the restitution of conjugal rights. But there is no question of dissolution of marriage because the marriage itself is a time-bound marriage. Once the time-bound period is over, means everything is over. Of course, in the mutai marriage, there will be certain restrictions they can keep it over there. But in other marriages, such a restriction is void. So here they say restitution of the conjugal rights that I just now before the one of I think Himabandhu gave the answer. Restitution of the conjugal right refers to the giving back the right to one party to stay with the spouse, as a couple is entitled to stay together and enjoy each other's company. And if one spouse stays away without reason, the other can file a suit to move back with the aggrieved party. Yes, ask for the restitution. The courts have to look into the circumstances of each case, then decide it. And a wife can claim the defenses against her husband's claim as given below. What the defense, she can take it. Because when she wants to stay aloof from the husband or in separate roof from the husband roof. So The defense available to the wife is, number one, a falsely accused her of adultery, because the husband say that you are adultery, your accusation is made over there, that's why I'm staying with my father and mother. And number two, her prompt dower was not paid on a demand, when the prompt dower should be supposed to pay it. If the bridegroom will not pay it, yes, that is a good ground that she can stay with her parents. And number three, the husband has been expelled from the caste. So if the husband is thrown out from the caste, yes, that is also a very good ground that she can live separately. And the fourth, cruelty and physical or emotional by the husband. As I told you that cruelty will be shown, domestic violation is shown, and physical and emotional harassment is going on over there, and not allowing the relatives of her to come to her house to see her. And if such a thing would be happened over there, yes, that also a very good ground that she can stay in other places. And there, the restriction of conjugal right will not be given. Then the fifth one is a husband converted from Islam to another religion, or used objectionable words against the Prophet. Suppose if she converted to the other religion from Islam, then it is a good ground for the wife to stay separately. Or if he uses the objectionable words to the Prophet Muhammad, even that also a good ground for them to be live separately and ask for the dissolution of the marriage also. So the Dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act 1939 was widened the defense upon the more. Of course, the conversion of legal effect on the marriage, how it would be there. When the conversion would be there, naturally, it is a good ground for the dissolution of marriage for the both the parties. Are you getting me? Are you
Yes, sir.
getting me? Can you read the conversion legal effect on marriage? Anyone unmute and read? Anyone can unmute and read conversion legal effect on marriage.
Conversion legal effects on marriage. Conversion could have the following legal effects on the marriage: an automatic dissolution of the marriage, a ground for divorce at the instance of the non-convert. As to though there is no statutory provision to that effect in any of the personal laws, under the Islamic law, a husband who renounces Islam is an apostate, and as such his marriage with his Muslim wife is dissolved ipso facto. According to Mullah, apostasy of the husband from Islam operates as a complete and immediate dissolution of the marriage.
Who is Mullah? Who is Mullah?
Prophet Muhammad.
No, Mullah is an author like Khalid Rashid and Takwani, and even the Mullah has written the Law of Evidence also. So he's an author. Author, A-U-T-H-O-R, like a D.D. Basu, Nani Palkiwala. He is an author of income tax. Of course, he is a lawyer also, income tax lawyer. So according to Mullah, apostasy means renounce of the Islam, and that a husband from Islam operates a complete and immediate dissolution of marriage. If one becomes from Muslim to the non-Muslim, it is a good ground for the spouse to get the dissolution of the marriage because of the renunciation or the conversion, whatever it may be there. Of course, he has given the many other provisions would be there, how the legal effect of the marriage would be come into the effect. But let us see the one of the, that is Munawwar ul Islam versus Rishu Arora. I repeat, Munawwar ul Islam versus Rishu Arora, a Hindu wife converted to Islam at the time of the marriage. On her reconversion back to her original faith, that is the Hinduism, her marriage should dissolve. Her case falls under the second provision of Section 4 of the Act on the pre-existing Muslim personal law, under which apostasy of either party to the marriage ipso facto dissolves the marriage would apply. So now, did you get my point? This Munawwar Islam versus Rishu Arora, the case law. In the beginning, a Hindu wife converted to Islam. but original her religion is Hinduism, but converted to Islam at the time of marriage. But on her reconversion back to her original faith, means Hinduism, she went back to the Hinduism. Her marriage to dissolved because she changed the yes,
Religion.
she changed the religion. That is called renunciation or conversion, whatever it may call. So in the last paragraph, we will see at any time it will be stopped. In the case of a Muslim married woman, her renunciation of Islam or her conversion to a faith other than the Islam shall not by itself operate to dissolve her marriage. Thus, if she remarries before the dissolution of her marriage, she can be prosecuted under the bigamy. However, even after such a reconciliation or conversion, the woman is entitled to obtain the degree for the dissolution of her marriage on any of the ground mentioned in Section 2 of the Act, Dissolution of the Muslim Marriage Act, and unknown whereabouts of the husband. We already discussed neglect, imprisonment for the husband, failure to perform the marital obligations, impotency, insanity, cruelty. Then she can also exercise her option for puberty by repudiation of the marriage, suppose if she married before the puberty, or when she married when she was not attained the age of 18 years. The husband apostasy is not a ground on a whole soul, may I seek the dissolution. Suppose she can apply for that if the apostasy is there, renunciation is there for that one. Sometimes it will not be ipso facto, it will be work over there. So that is what I want to say. But in another case law, that is Abdul Ghani versus Azizul Haq, a Muslim man and a woman got married, well and good, both are Muslims. After some time, the husband embraced Christianity, but reverted to Islam during the wife's iddat. But before the iddat period, he changed from the Christianity to again the Islam. And before the expiry of the iddat period, however, the wife got married to another man. Before the iddat period, the wife got it married because the husband embraced the Christianity. The first husband thereupon filed a complaint against the wife, her father, or her second husband under Section 494, and it was held that no offense has been made. The reason is that once they embraced the Islam, automatically, ipso facto, that will be changed over there. With that, before the iddat period is over there, the wife is married to the another man, and meanwhile, that the former husband cannot say that the iddat period she did not observe over there, and moreover, the married, it is an offense, it is not amount to bigamy. There is no offense is done by the wife because she wants to take the advantage of it. Need not to make the iddat period because she knows that she is not conceived. Are you following me? Are you following me? Sir, we don't know, sir. Are you following me? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
See, so with this, the kinds of or types of the marriages, legal effect of the marriage, nature of the marriage, concept of the marriage, definition of the marriage, we have dealt it, and the legal effect of the marriage in the different kinds of, we did it. So with this, our marriage chapter is over. Then what is the next? Next is marriage is over, and divorce is over, dowry is over, and then can you go for the maintenance tomorrow class? Yes? Can you go for the maintenance tomorrow class? Bhaskar Tirupati, you want to speak something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, not a small doubt, sir. When it
Please.
is done a muta marriage,
Repeat.
okay, sir. ముఠా మ్యారేజ్ జరిగిన తర్వాత ఎవరైనా చిల్డ్రన్ బార్న్ అయితే వాళ్ళ పరిస్థితి ఏంటి సార్?
Sir, even the marriage, what type of the marriage it be, doesn't matter. Children are legitimate children.
Okay.
It's the no fault of them. Why they should be